Welcome to the Estate Professionals Mastermind Podcast, a podcasting community by estate professionals for estate professionals, where we share the ideas and the access to people that help you work less, earn more, and do good in your community. If you get value in this free content, be sure to check out estateprofessionalsmastermind.com, where you can get live classes, access to weekly coaching, and free courses. To learn more, you can visit estateprofessionalsmastermind.com. Let's jump into this week's episode.
Let's launch this thing. Hey, I'm Bill Gross. This is our weekly Probate Mastery real estate broker coaching call. We get together every Tuesday at 11 a.m., formerly 11 a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern time, to talk about how to utilize the principles of Chad's teaching in Probate Mastery and the EARN program, how to implement them, how to work with them, to share victories, to talk through problems and challenges as we grow our businesses together. I'm a real estate broker based in Los Angeles, California. I am building a national team, but to be honest, my main activity every day is getting listings in the probate space. It's my only lead generation, besides my sphere of influence, which I use to market my probate business. So I'm doing this with you every day. I don't sell coaching. I don't sell product. I'm kind of working with Chad and McKenna on this program a little bit, more for me to help me build my business. But to be honest, before I made this phone call, I was talking to somebody on one of my listings, and I took a listing. I guess technically I got it signed on Saturday and trying to get that in contract here by Friday, and got counters on another one. That's my daily business, is getting listings from the probate business I work on. I work with attorneys, I work with families, and I'm here to help you guys be more successful in your business. So it's meant to be participative, and there are people who are, but if you're here, let's make your time valuable. Let's make sure that we're working together to help each other. So no reason to be shy. I would say if you have some victories you want to report, so feel free. This is meant to be participative. Also, feel free to network. Put your contact info in where you would like to get business, where you can send business to. And I'd love to get you guys doing business with each other. If you have a victory to report, jump in, put it in the chat box. If you have a challenge you want to share with us, and let us know. I just want to kind of go through let me say, affiliated with this is part of the ProbateMastery.com website, which is where you can buy the Probate Mastery product, which is a coaching product, an overview of probate, how to see the kind of overall big picture to build your business in probate. And then there's additionally a program called EARN, which is how to earn attorney referrals now. I know it's on here somewhere. Here, all courses, workshops. There you go with the different programs. Earn attorney now course. Those details are there. And then there's, I love this, Probate Mastery Alumni Group, great resource for you to participate in. And people ask questions there. And there it is, noting the coaching call today. Thank you for that, McKenna.
Hey, Bill, can I interrupt
Yes.
you? Do you mind going to that previous page, the Choose Your Probate Education, and scroll down just a little bit more? So we have just added mini courses and workshops. I'm almost done getting Bill's Get Probate Cash course in Kajabi, but the rest of these are already up there. So if you want to take one of these workshops, you're welcome to do that.
Thanks. Yeah, in fact, I had kind of created my own program, Get Probate.Cash, but for me, it was more kind of a fun R&D thing, and we decided to kind of combine that into Chad's program, so they'll be on here as well, and it'll be a little prettier and nicer and more professional and all that good stuff. So yeah, there's some mini classes that might help you as you develop your business. And then again, we have a Facebook group, and so my goal here was to kind of use this, if I don't have other questions, to use this as a place to get questions. Let's see. George Godon, covering the entire state of Connecticut. George, welcome to the call. And Frank is in Carlsbad. Definitely, Frank. Nice to see you again. And Tracy's good. Thank you for your contact info in the chat box. A couple of questions that came out of the Facebook group. One from Jeremy, which was thoughts on a community page name. And the idea being, I think all of us should have places for our customers to congregate, and you need to think about what it is that's going to get their interest. So for me, I have a probate group that I call in my Facebook Probate Experts. Now, the reason I've done that rather than say LA County Probate is I'm trying to I'm in a very competitive market, probably one of the most competitive in the country. So I'm trying to compete with other probate experts in my market that are established. And one way I thought was by marketing to attorneys as well and vendors. But I created this place, and I've got 500 people. And one of the advantages of a community is it gives you a chance to leverage your social media. You know, when I post YouTubes and content, you'll see that I get a chance to show that in my group and share content and also ask questions. So Jeremy's question was, what should we you name the group? And I would say my thinking is that you want to name it based on the group you're attacking or the group that you're looking to service and accumulate together. And I think sometimes we go too broad and sometimes we don't go narrow enough on what it is we're doing. Like I often see probate and trust something, or trust and probate, which is nice, but those are two different kind of markets. And I get business from trusts despite marking myself as a probate expert. I don't shut them out. I actually do more because they see me or perceive me as an expert. So that's my thought. Anybody else have any thoughts on naming, or anybody on the call here have a Facebook community that you've built, a page or a group that you're working with currently? Feel free to jump in and offer some advice on how that should work. Venus, no camera. Okay. Okay, and then also another question, also from Jeremy. Anyone knock their probate list for flyer dropper conversation? If you have pros or cons. So the challenge of door knocking is twofold. Number one, in general, to only door knock targeted leads or targeted data. So one of the things I want to point out is that you're not getting leads, you're getting data, the filings or whatever. The problem with this is twofold. If you see with expired listings or distressed properties, if you just go to the targeted data house, you spend so much time driving to and from the next one that the number of doors you'll knock per hour is so low that your contacts will be too low. So typically, if you do it that way, you might drive to 8 houses per hour and 1 or 2 open the door. So now you're talking to on average 1.5 people per hour. You're not talking enough people to be effective. The better strategy is, if you want to pick targeted data, is knock on the target door and then 10 doors around it. And number one, those neighbors may know something about that house. They may even own that house. Number two, you're talking to more people overall about real estate in general. The challenge of probate is not only are many of the owners of the property not there, they died, or the administrator is not there, they live out of state or out of the area. And so that's even more challenging than expired listings or distress sales in terms of your contacts per hour. So I would really have you think about, if you're going to drive and door knock properties, you have to make sure that you are being effective per hour. And how do we do that? We track our hours of lead generation time and our contacts, so we know our contacts per hour. And in general, highly targeted data, 5 contacts per hour is a rock minimum. You really want to get to 8 if you can. And so door knocking probates one at a time probably won't work. Now, if you said to me, but Bill, I'm also going to door knock the expireds and the stress and all that, great, but just door knock 10 houses around each one when you park your car, and that way you'll get to more doors per hour. The other thing people tell me all the time when they door knock is they say, hey, Bill, most people don't answer the door. And yeah, that's the case. Door knocking or cold calling or mailing is kind of like mining for diamonds. If I gave you, somebody put in the chat box, if I gave you $1 billion diamond mine, what's the vast majority of the physical material you're going to get? Is it diamonds? If I gave you $1 billion diamond mine, where are you going to get more of the diamonds? Dirt, right? You ever see a diamond mine picture? It's like a lot of dirt and a little bit of diamonds buried underneath it. And the people who are effective at diamond mining move tons of dirt for little teeny tiny diamonds. So think about that in your prospecting. You have to move a lot of dirt. You have to talk to a lot of people to find the few that are motivated. Okay, a question in the chat box from Venus. So Venus, if you want to, you have no camera today. Okay, so no problem. She called the leads and they say Colorado only makes a probate public record once the probate is closed. So I won't be able to track that source. I need to really just focus on attorneys unless you have other ideas. I mean, I think I'd like attorneys. I know there are people who do pre-probate marketing, but I don't know anybody who's done it and been successful at it. So if in Colorado you can't contact people when they're in the process of probate, I would say if every realtor plays by that rule, Obviously, what you could do is generate content in the state of California, in the state of Colorado about probate, how to avoid probate, how to get through probate efficiently. You could interview probate attorneys. And my guess is if you did that in Colorado, petitioners and attorneys would be looking for you online or finding you online because those keywords or key things you're interested in. So I still think even if there was no way, like for example, I don't cold call any petitioners and I don't cold call any attorneys. I only put out content so that they call me. So maybe there's a social media way or content focused way. This might help you. I'd be glad to talk to you more if you want to unmute, jump in if you're able to. Doug Leach from Philadelphia, Eastern Maryland. Welcome to the call. And Winston Covington from the OC, welcome. Randy got the right answer. If I give you $1 billion worth of a diamond mine, most of what you're gonna end up with is dirt. You're not gonna complain about it. You're gonna say thank you, right? It's just not public record until the probate's closed, Wendy. So, but I like that. Thank you. Yeah, so it's not public record, but you don't need to cold call the public records. You can attract people in probate by talking to investors, wholesalers, other realtors, attorneys about probate, because if they're not cold calling them, that probably means there's more families that need help than are getting it in other states. Yeah, Randy has the right answer. I think the right answer would be putting out good content in Colorado. I would love to have some of my team in Colorado and share kind of my contact machine and focus it on Colorado, interviewing attorneys there and realtors and vendors. I mean, if what you're saying is true, I'd love anybody who's open to talk about joining my team in Colorado and being part of that. I would love to help you be the content master or mistress of Colorado and probate. I think if that's true, then that's not a problem. That's just a solution waiting to be implemented. And see, on my mind, thanks. Personally, I don't think there are any problems. We're in the business of solving problems. That's how we get paid what we get paid for. So the harder it is, that just means it's harder for the competition to compete. Okay, a couple of things just, while I'm waiting out, seeing other questions, I think I'm up to date. You're welcome to raise your hand or unmute yourself and jump in if you want to, or put a question in the chat box. I want to make sure you're aware that we have the online probate group, Probate Mastery Alumni. You should join that if you haven't already. A couple other resources. You might want to check out my YouTube channel. I'm at Bill Gross EXP. I'm going to be changing that soon to at Bill Gross Probate. But for now, go to youtube.com/Bill Gross EXP. I have a whole channel dedicated to probate real estate topics. I interview attorneys, vendors. I also host probateweekly.com, which is an interview program. I interview different attorneys and vendors every week there. Had a great interview last week with a leading Long Beach, California attorney. That's how I generate my business, and you're welcome to copy what I do if that works for you. So I'd love to have you. If you're on my YouTube channel, I'd love for you to subscribe to that. Thank you for the support. If you're in LA, Thursday night, I'm hosting a monthly event I call Brew Real Estate. I buy a beer for any realtor who shows up. It's in the Mid-Wilshire area on La Brea at All Season Brewery, the first Thursday of the month, 5:30 to 7:30. So if you're in LA and you're a real estate agent, come, I'll exchange your business card for free craft beer, and I'd love to meet you there if you're in the LA area. Okay, questions, comments? You got a half-hour free coaching. I'm not charging you for it. I do this every day at a high level, I think. I'll say this. I did this call because I need it. I need to share ideas with you guys. I need to learn best practices. I go on to other companies' coaching calls. I don't get a lot out of it. Some I do, but there's a lot of fluff, a lot of sales, a lot of stuff that doesn't work. A lot of focus on mailing, which I just don't think they really are being honest with you with the numbers. A lot of encouragement to cold call people, which I do know does work, but it's an all-in intense commitment if you want to cold call petitioners. I just don't, 99% of you aren't going to do it. I was a Mike Ferry agent, so for me to cold call 3 hours a day, every day, 5 days a week, and deal with that rejection, I did it. I don't think it's good for building a business in the long run, in my experience. But if you have other ideas or other questions, I'm here to help.
So Bill, this is Tracy.
Hey, Tracy.
Hi. So I'm just starting. In fact, I'm still completing Chad's program, going through it for the first time. And so if you don't do cold calling and the door knocking, I believe, are you using all the leads?
So I am, as of today, as it's right, using alltheleads.com for their website. I did use alltheleads.com for their brochure. I created a trifold brochure that I use to hand out for marketing purposes. I don't use their data. I'm doing emailing.
Okay, so what do you do then?
You know, my wife asked the same thing. What the hell are you doing? I don't know. So I think that I don't want to talk about this a lot. You're newer to our call. So I would say that, first off, I've been in the business a long time, but I relaunched in sales a little over 4 years ago. What I tell real estate agents to do is the number one asset you have is your center of influence database. What I did is what I think I tell realtors to do every day. They resist and tell me I'm wrong, but I just did it, which was I email out to that group at least once a week. I called them all. I didn't get through the whole list. I say call them all every 90 days, but to be honest, I got through the D's and I got so much business going. I've never regularly called the whole list since. And since I built my database, I email out to 6,000 people a week. I do a lot of social media, people call me. So what happened was, I think there's nothing wrong with outbound calling when you start a business or outbound activities, but the goal should be to build a database or client list that then starts generating repeat, referral, and inbound. If you plant enough seeds, at some point you're too busy harvesting to plant more, and the plants you have will create their own seeds to generate more business. So to answer your question, I spend 3 or 4 hours every day. I say, every day from 8 to noon. Otherwise, I do calls like this, and even to some degree, this call is part of it, doing lead generation. So lead generation looks like inbound calls, interviews, and recording content on my social media.
Okay, yeah, it's like networking and ninja selling, which I'm all about. So just making your message about being a probate expert.
I also I host that event once a month. So I invite, affiliates as well as realtors locally. There's another real estate investing event that I host as well once a month. So rather than go out and see, 1 or 2 people at a time, I try to get a group of people, and I've positioned myself as an expert where I've earned that opportunity. It took a year or 2 to build that up, but after a while, people would come talk to me because they'd see me at the booth or whatever I hung out. So that's your question. I do more one-to-many marketing than I do one-to-one.
Okay, sounds good.
Tracy, where do you do business at? What area?
I'm in Ventura County, California.
Very nice. By the way, the event that I do next Thursday, the LA Real Estate Investment Club, they have an event in Ventura Wednesday, a week from Wednesday. It's free to attend. It's in Oxnard. It is, I think it's called Ventura County Real Estate. Let me see if I can find it for you. If you send me an email or text, I'll find it after the call. But it's a great event. I know I have a colleague in the area who goes there monthly. And it's a great event to meet free investors and real estate people and vendors, which to me is a good source of business.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks so much.
Chime in for a second?
Yeah.
Tracy, you had mentioned just taking the Probate Mastery course and then asking about all the leads. And that reminded me that we just updated our course. There's a new lesson in there that Chad just created. It's section 2. The lesson is called Systems You'll Use. And in there, he announces that we've got a new leads partner. It's US Probate Leads, and you actually have a link now for 25% off your leads. So if you don't want to go with all the leads and do the big CRM, we have an alternative option. In that video that he's redone, he's also added in how to just create a simple CRM through Google Sheets. So there's a cost savings there if you're interested.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much.
Well, and just to continue that topic, I think that sometimes we realtors look for buying solutions rather than solving the real problem. And having been with all the leads for a while, I go into coaching and I do think there's good value there, but 99% of the agents never do anything from that product. And I think that's part of the problem. The mailing costs money. You got to cut, you want your money to go to the customer, not to a vendor. You have to be very careful with your return on investment. most realtors have CRMs that the companies provide for free, or you can use various other CRMs for free or low cost. So I would say definitely look for the data and but get an action on it. So thank you. And then also, Tracy, before you go, I just found a link to that Ventura program that's free. I think hope you'll find that helpful.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, I think I actually saw this. I was thinking about going, so I will attend that.
There's one the next day, it's in LA, LAREIC.com. I go to that every month as well. I'm a co-host of that. So thanks. Thanks so much, Tracy. Okay, let's see. I see Shelly, you've had your hand up. Let's get you, we can get you unmuted here, and then we'll bring you into the call. You're muted.
Oh, hi.
There you go.
Yeah, I've got to get to plug in my tablet really quick. Hey, so yeah, so it sounds like what you're saying, the best option is if I want to attract more administrators and probate attorneys, probate attorneys, you're suggesting doing videos on YouTube? Because I've been pretty lucky. Like, I just closed a probate. I kind of just fell in it. I've done like 5 or 6. I've been to court with an overbid situation. I kind of had like baptism by fire, and I was an administrator myself. So I've done I feel pretty good at doing probates. So now I'm just like, okay, how do I get more referrals from attorneys? Because the administrators have been from my sphere of influence that have just contacted me. So I had originally thought.
Hold on one second there for everybody else. I want everybody to hear that, what she just said. That's gold. If you could repeat that line up here for you, I think you said you've had administrators contact you on probate cases from your center of influence or sphere of influence.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
so we're all here looking to cold call people, strangers, and here's Shelly getting people who already know, like, and trust her, calling her with a probate. Do you see the power there? So most realtors miss watering this part of their garden, and to me, it's very important. I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, Shelly, but it just drives me nuts. They can't get agents to market to their own database to get business. So please, I'm sorry. Forgive me. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the last probate that I just closed last week, it was funny because it was from my sphere of influence, 100% on my Facebook, for my Facebook post, because I decided, okay, I'm going to start like putting a little bit more out there with regard to real estate and probate. And she's actually the wife of my husband's friend. And our relationship or our friendship was purely online. And then when she unexpectedly became an administrator, she was just like, oh, you have to call my husband's friend. She does real estate and she's a probate specialist. So that was like my first, like, okay. So anyways, I am wanting to market my database, but I thought it'd be a good idea to market attorneys. But I did send an email out, and I did have all the leads send out brochures. I haven't gotten any, inbound. I do well face to face, so I was thinking of joining a paralegal group. I thought about going to the probate, court, but I don't know that I have time to do that on certainly a daily basis, let alone maybe a monthly basis. So I'm thinking.
Well, hold on here. You just ran through about 5 different things here. So let me stop you and break this down a little bit. Shelly, you're like a fountain of information here. So networking, you mentioned. Where do you sell real estate?
In San Joaquin County, Northern California, Mountain House, Tracy.
Got it. So it's not a large metro area. It's rural, semi-rural, suburban area at most, which to me means more personal interaction. So a couple of things you mentioned in passing there. One is networking. Absolutely. I don't do that for example, there's a LA County Bar Association, Beverly Hills Bar Association, Santa Monica Bar Association, Century City Bar Association. I don't go to their events because, number one, I don't really want to go out. I'm 64 years old. I have a family, I have grandkids, I'm making good money. I don't want to go out at night. I don't want to do it. But when I was young, I went to events like that. I should have, if I was focused on probate, would have gone to and joined those events and been there regularly. Great opportunity to meet people. I interviewed an attorney a couple of weeks ago when we talked about the great place to meet her was at those events. There's also events for fiduciaries and for administrators of estates and for wealth management. So every area has a little different place to network. And if you enjoy networking, go. If you don't enjoy it, don't do that. You also mentioned going to court. I don't know you need to go to court every day. I certainly wouldn't commit to going every day until you've been there and see it as valuable. But what I recommend to everybody here is go to court once and do a full research. Like block out 4 hours and understand everything that's at your county, where the hearings are, where the research room is, where the filings are, where the coffee is, what days of the week they meet, what rooms they meet in, just once. I think you can be effective in helping your customers. I think that you might find going there once a week or once a month is helpful. For example, in LA County, they have in the courthouse like bulletin boards with posters on them, right? And one of the posters I noticed regularly was the LA County Law Library, which was across the street, had free classes, including some on probate and estate planning. I went there and met attorneys there at those events. One asked me to help her co-host the event to a room full of petitioners on probate. So every county is different, every court's different, but I would encourage everybody to go once and just inventory what resources there are, and more importantly, what resources will work for you. We're all different. I did me. I went to court every day because I loved it. You might not, but at least know what's there so you can reference your customers what's there. Okay, I'm sorry, dude. But you're spotting some gold there, Shelley. I wanted to make sure that's
I agree with you. That gives me a good idea. Two things. Yeah, like the one time I went to court because I had to go because it was an overbid situation.
Mhm.
I learned so much. I mean, I was definitely flying by the seat of my pants because it was the first time, but there ended up to be like multiple bidders that came, and it was like
Right.
super fascinating. So, and
Right.
it was very informal. Like you're right. Like anybody can go in there and just sit, and listen. So I could do that. Maybe I can check the bulletin board. I think that's viable. I think that if I went once a month, which I could connect to, I could possibly meet somebody. I think that and network that way. I think I tend to get into all or nothing mindset.
Correct. Don't do that.
Mhm.
And what I would say is if you go on the hearings, you notice a certain attorney has a hearing that day, you might call and say, hey, by the way, Joe, I see you're going to be, or you're scheduled for hearing at court. Maybe I can meet you there and buy a cup of coffee, or maybe I can meet you afterwards and go out for breakfast or something. So again, I would just do reconnaissance and figure out what's there before I commit to once a month or daily or weekly. I just think there's valuable resources that would benefit you.
Do you have any trigger words or trigger sentence? Like I said, I closed, let's say 6 probates successfully. And so I don't consider, I don't know, am I an expert? I know how to do probate, I know all the paperwork. How would do you have any suggestions on how I could kind of characterize myself succinctly?
Well, I think that to do that effectively comes from inside, right? Knowledge equals power. So I would more focus on the knowledge side than I would on the scripting. I think there's too many real estate agents that learn cute scripts. And as a result of that, hold on just 1 second. Sorry about that. So for example, I'll give you one example. Have you read, you're in California, the residential listing agreement addendum, the residential purchase agreement addendum, and the probate advisory addendum completely? You might want to review them every 90 days. I know I looked at it again most recently because I get phone calls all day long from realtors, 95% haven't even looked at the forms. I think that knowing that, answers so many questions. I always feel like when people ask me questions, I want to reference the form and the paragraph number to show them I know the material, right? And I keep them on my desk in a folder so I can pull them up real fast, not paper, but on a computer folder. I can pull up real fast and reference it. So I think knowledge equals power, and I would just encourage you to continue your knowledge process. Go to court, see what's there, see what classes are there. Are there online classes? There are in other counties also. But I think the more knowledge you have, the more comfortable you feel talking about it. You obviously are comfortable talking. So I don't think the problem is the lack of a script. I think it's really more owning your success and talking about it. And I also would say, do you do any kind of social media? Do you educate your database about probate. You've done 6. Most agents haven't done more than 1 or 2. So if I would just talk, I would try to find someone to talk about each of those, or do a testimonial, or include the attorney if there's an attorney involved in it, or a paralegal, and interview them, or the bond company if you use the bond company, or the advance company if you use the advance. I would encourage you to use that in your social media.
Yeah, I mean, I'm familiar with the PA. I mean, how would that come up if I'm speaking with an attorney, like in conversation? That's what I'm trying to figure out how to.
Well, sometimes, for example, sometimes attorneys have particular ways they want things worded, but we already have documents that cover those issues. And so I would just point out to them and say, look, here's what it says. We don't have a choice between, for example, in California, for those of you not in California, pardon us for a little bit. And let me back up. I don't know if you know this, Shelley, but I've done an exhaustive survey. I don't believe in any other state in the country there's even one probate form that's part of the formal association realtors package. Like in California, we have not 1 but 3. Welcome to California. So I would say that, for example, the verbiage on our probate cases for full authority is court confirmation may not be required. The authority is required. It's not required, it's may not be. And you go, well, that sounds a little awkward. Well, it is awkward, because the truth is, even if it's not required when you start, you're just one objector away from it being required. And the document properly protects our client by putting that verbiage there rather than not required. So those are little things that when you get in a conversation with an attorney, I think the more masterful you are at integrating that information, the more confident they're going to be in your ability to help them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that last question, so these probate attorneys, they are familiar with the PAPA, or
No.
Because I'm like, why are you, this last attorney, Miss Know-It-All, and her paralegal who got on her little tuffet, she calmed down a lot when I had to be very nicely kind of put her in place, and was like, okay, the questions you're asking me are written on the PAPA and the PA. So she was like coming at me like I am like she knew everything, right, and I didn't know anything. And I'm like, do they not read these forms?
No,
I don't.
No. So attorney, if you say every business has its strength, attorneys as a group, not everybody, but mostly, their superpower is they sound like they know what they're talking about when they know nothing.
Yeah.
Right? That's part of how they're trained, as far as asking questions and being in court and such. So they're fearless by answering questions they know nothing about. The other thing is, I don't know about you're in San Joaquin County. I can speak to LA, Orange, San Bernardino, Riverside counties, that 90% of the cases are handled by an attorney who's not done one or more, who's not done one in the last 12 months. So they don't know. How could they know? And the forms are updated and changed and added in. How would they ever know the forms? So the answer is they don't. They're never going to say, hey, Shelley, I'm an attorney, but I don't really do probate that often. Help me understand what's the form. And they're never going to ask you a question. I never get asked that question. So it's a very delicate dance you have to do with attorneys, make them feel like they're smart. I think that's something that women and wives do better than husbands, which is make the husband feel smart, even though he may not be. I think with the attorney, you have to make him feel smart, even if he or she is not. And that's the dance you have to dance, unfortunately, with that. But no, they don't know most of the stuff. And then our job is to both know it and communicate it effectively.
Thank you. That's great.
Sure. So thanks so much. Thanks for jumping in. Okay, some other questions in the chat box. We got Vince asked, what email program do I use for mass emailing? So I'll just say, personally, I use MailChimp. I've used it for years. I'm with eXp Realty, which gives us a CRM, but our CRM connects to the MailChimp. So what I like about MailChimp is that it gives me statistics on open ratios. Let's really customize, schedule sends, things like that. So there's other programs, but that one's worked really well for me, MailChimp.com. And if you're interested, text me or email me. I'll send you a link to I think I have a thing like for $10 off or something. So let me know if you're interested in that. Frank asks, I can just tell he's not happy to hear this answer. Is the meeting going to be at 11 going forward? Yes, it is. I'm doing this while getting paid salary, but one concession I said was, I got to finish by 12 because I like to work out at noontime. And so as a concession to me, sorry, Frank, I really am. like having participation. But yeah, just to make this thing work for me, I need to move it earlier. So I asked the name of the lady speaking. I think you're talking about McKenna. And let's see what else. I think we covered all that. I see Joan sitting there very patiently with her hand up. Joan, let's get you unmuted and get you in the call. How are you, Joan?
Hello, how are you?
Great. What's up?
I had a question. I am new to this platform and I was wondering, I am an investor, so I'm not an agent. So you guys have all the luxury of MLS and a lot of experience in closing with title companies. And I was told though, that title companies are a great place to network. And that was my question. Have any of you guys have experience? They provide events also, I think like monthly, like the bigger real estate or title companies. And I know that could be a place also to network.
So Joan, I know you're in Florida. What part of Florida are you in?
No, I'm in Washington State.
Not close. 3,000 miles away. Okay, so Washington. Okay, so I would say two things I would offer. Number one is if you're an investor, you should connect with a realtor through this program, because you have, my investor clients have all the information in the world because they have me.
Okay.
So we have a number of good realtors who run this call regularly. You should feel free to network with them, put your contact info in. I'm sure they'll reach out to you. Also go to the Facebook group there as well, and just say you're looking for a realtor in the area that can meet and provide data. I rarely provide public data information to my and MLS data to my investor clients. I mean, all day long I'm sending out documents and emails and conversing with them on that. So definitely you should feel free with that. That was one. Second, title companies. Yeah. So title companies are a source of great data. Now, different states have different laws, what they can and can't do and how they market. But I know in Florida, where I thought you were, there's a couple title companies that have a series of regarding probate specifically to put on events. But yeah, I would look for realtor events. I think every realtor in town would like to meet you and sell you some properties. So I would definitely look for events. I would look at meetup.com. I would look at eventbrite.com for local real estate related networking events, and I'll get yourself active in those. I know here in LA, I'm a co-host of a large real estate investment group that meets the second Thursday every month here in Culver City area. So there you go. Deborah says she's in Washington State. So there's definitely several people here, I'm sure, that'd love to meet you, Joan, and your contact info. And I would also go to the probate experts group, and I'm sure you'll find some people want to work with you.
Okay, thanks, Bill.
Sure, thanks, Joan. Okay, there we go. Anybody else with questions, comments?
So I have a question. It's me, Dan. I'm gonna come on camera. Sorry.
Okay.
I just had my first referral to an estate planning attorney, and I checked the local county clerk, and he does like average 4 probate deals, and he is highly rated and highly recommended. And so she said she was going to meet with him and her and her husband to put all of her businesses and all of her properties in a trust. And I said, can you bring my branded folder with you? And then they switched it. They were late, so they did a phone consultation. And I was like, I didn't know how to pivot with that. So I just sent her an email, like an introductory email. She forwarded it to the attorney. The attorney reached back to me and was like, your friend Kim said, I spoke really highly of you. Send me any referrals. Like, I will help all of your, I can help anyone put, property into trust. I can, yeah, but how do I turn that into also like a two-way street? I think there was a video you did like last year about creating two-way streets and like analyzing what business to business you're doing and which ones are one-way streets, which are two-way streets. I know I don't want to rely on a script. I want to influence that referral system.
You want to add processes to your business, not scripts. So Daniel, you're in Texas, right? Like the Dallas area. Mm-hmm. And so how many people do you have in your customers, in your client database?
As in like, who am I sending mailers out, or like how many leads I have from?
How many people know, like, and trust you that you can send an email to? I said send an email in the next hour to people you know, like, and trust, and know, like, and trust you. How many would that be?
I'm still only been here for 3 years. I feel like I have an extensive market around the world, but here I probably have at least 100 people.
How about around the world? How many people could you email to?
Hundreds, probably
Yeah.
like 1,000.
Yeah. So would any of them be interested in learning about estate planning?
Yes, I think the more affluent ones, I think the way I've been able to articulate about how privacy is the new luxury, and how when you put your assets that you've worked hard for into a trust, it not only allows you to control your assets and how it's aired, it saves your family money. It allows you to also
Hold on. This is great.
Yeah.
You should do this.
Yeah.
Record this.
Mhm.
And by the way, if you want more, I have a one-on-one interview with attorney so-and-so in Dallas, Texas area to talk about helping you get set up your trust. Click here to watch the video of it, or click here to join us on Wednesday at 4:00. So you should be talking about this topic and sharing it with your database, and then offering them the next step. The next step could be, I think, you interviewing this attorney about his practice so that you can share that with your database.
Mhm.
Does he do regular webinars? Does he do regular live events? Are you inviting your clients to those events so they can learn about estate planning? If he's not, then maybe you set one up. Maybe you create one and he is the attorney resource, and you just interview him, ask him questions, you invite people to it. And then if they want to follow up with him, usually you offer a free consultation to anybody who's on the call, something like that.
Yes, I think he's like in his 40s, so a younger professional for that field. So I think he's very hungry for scaling his business. So
Mhm.
I definitely think it was just kind of intimidating. It's like my first real attorney that I've like actually, I gave him a really good referral. Like so I just was like, I want to make sure this is kind of more intimidating than like calling a cold call lead or whatever, because this could lead to a lot of things. My next question was, my friend is she runs this like boutique luxury marketing firm, and they're so big they do mailers, Facebook, AdWords, they do all this stuff. And she said, why don't you do Facebook ad? Like, she's like, if you get probate lead emails, which I don't email them unless the lead gives me their email, I feel like it's a little bit invasive. But she said you can target, I guess, on Facebook. Like, if Facebook's changed recently, if you have a database of emails, I could create a Facebook campaign just for my probate real estate, like concierge program. So therefore I could target just those email addresses. Is that something that you've heard of before?
Yeah, I mean,
Not worth the return of investment?
I don't know. Test it and track it. I mean, I get pitched so many super easy ways to make money, but when you really break down the numbers, they don't ever really pencil out. Like, if you're paying more for the data, for example, there's a company that claims to market listings are 8 times more likely to sell than other listings. So they're data metrics. Well, there's a few of those in your city, but there's more that they'll say 2 times more likely to sell. Well, 2 times more likely to sell. In America, we have 10 million homes. I'm sorry, we have 100 million homes, and we have 4 million sales a year. That's about one sells every 25 years, every 20 years in a down market like this year. In a good market, we have 10 million to sell a year. That's every 10 years. So when they sell you the data, are they saying it's going to sell every 13 or 14 years instead of every 10? Or, I mean, to me, when you really break down what they say, oftentimes the marketing claim doesn't result in substantial progress to you. That said, you already have a relationship with thousands of people. You already have a relationship with that attorney. I would milk that before I start talking to strangers.
Okay.
And that just goes back to the first question. I forget who asked me in the beginning, what do I do to generate business? I don't remember if it was Tracy or somebody else. And the answer is, I'd much rather squeeze the juice out of the orange, call people who already know me, like me, and trust me, than spend extra money trying to find strangers and convince them who I am. It just takes a lot of effort to convert strangers to want to work with you. And I'm not saying not to do that, but I would do that while I'm working with people who already know me.
Thank you. Yeah,
Okay.
perfect. Yeah,
but your conversation with me just now, you can almost video that should be a post to your social media. And then the call to action should be, hey, I met with attorney Joe Smith. Here's a link to a free consult. Or Joe Smith and I are hosting an estate planning workshop online Wednesday at 5 o'clock. Link here to register. Or he has an event at a hotel. Link here to register. That to me, that's what you should be sending to current clients. Okay.
I like it. Thank you so much, Bill.
Sure. Sally says, it looks like he's talking about a lookalike audience. Yeah, there's different ways to generate, I think, ad groups and Facebook groups to spend money on. Everything worked 2 years ago. Everything is more expensive today in marketing, but what's not more expensive is people who already know that you like and trust you. You can send them an email from your personal email. You can call them on the phone, or more importantly, they'll call you if they have a need, and that doesn't cost as much. So, okay, last question. I have to land a little earlier today than maybe we might normally. Any other questions? Hands raised. I think we covered. ProbateMastery.com is the base program. Then there's other, the EARN program, EARN Attorney Referrals Now course is based on specifically getting business from attorneys. And there's some workshops as well. All that's to be seen at ProbateMastery.com. We did move this call, and going forward, it will be 11 o'clock a.m. Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern time going forward. Again, Frank, I'm sorry, that's just how it goes. But so it says, Bill, but if we're just creating a probate sphere, we have to call. So Soledad, I would say this is the discussion I have with the realtors all the time. I don't know if you want to jump on, Soledad, and we can talk about it. But I get people all the time who say, well, I'm new to real estate. I don't have a database. No, you have a database. You already know and like 100, 200 people. You know, like, and trust you. You know, like, and trust them. And you might say, oh, yeah, but Bill, those people went to high school with, or they were my, softball team, or they were my whatever, tennis team. Yeah, but they either buy houses or their parents buy or sell houses. And we think they're different. No, they're the ones you're going to talk to. They know, like, and trust you already. You can add in strangers, but if you don't have a system for people that you already know, like, and trust, you're not going to do a good job when you meet strangers because you won't have a methodology to keep them in your system. So I feel very strongly about that. You're not going to move me off that mark, but I appreciate the comment. I'm glad to talk about it more personally. If you want to jump on the call and be coached live next time. Shelly says, once you know how to create the list and you can appear to those people that fit your criteria, you can create a lookalike list, say probate attorneys or probate families. I think it's great. But again, I think I would first want to really squeeze the juice of the people I already know, because that's what I did. This worked for me. I've seen it work for plenty of other people. And I will say, if you aren't willing to reach out to those people and give them value, if you can't talk to them about the value of an estate plan or a will to avoid probate, or to help their parents avoid probate, if that's a different conversation for you, then I would say you're not going to be effective talking to strangers because you don't think you're creating a value. Shelly, thanks for the contact info. I think we'll wrap it up here because I need to jump off a little earlier this week. So forgive me if you don't mind. Again, this is our probate weekly, our probate master call we do every week, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. I'm Bill Gross. You can reach me at Bill Gross EXP on social media, or my phone number 310-210-0008. Glad to take phone calls, texts, emails. I'm Bill at thelaprobateexpert.com. Or you can find me on the Probate Mastery alumni group. You have a question there, just put my name in. I'm glad to respond to those. I don't participate as often as I should. I think other people answer some questions, so I want to create some room for others too. But feel free to reach out if I can help in any way. I do this every week. Love to help you guys. Love to work with you. If you're interested in referrals, questions on probate problems, feel free to reach out. As always, make today your best day ever. Thank you, everybody.